Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Lenny. Imagine being able to instantly translate anything. So we are talking PDF documents, videos, audios, using your own custom AI agent for free. In today's tutorial, I'm going to show you how to set up a powerful AI agent that can translate in real time and also in multiple languages. So whether you are a content creator, you're a student, you're a traveler, or is this someone who deals with multilingual content, this AI agent will make things easier and will change the game for you. Let's get started and let's build your own AI translator agent step by step. So first things first, I'm going to walk you through the workflow, after which I'm going to show you exactly how I built it. Also, don't worry if there's any code you need to write. I'm going to leave the JSON template in the comment section so that you can go download it. That's what I do for all my other AI agent tutorials. So first things first, I do have a Google Drive trigger. So I did create a folder where I'm keeping all my files that need to be translated. So I created a folder and I called it transcribe files. You really need to call it the same thing, but really I just have a folder where I'm keeping all the documents that need to be translated in there. And then I do have like a switch statement, which is telling me what to do based on what the file extension is. So I do have two lanes. The first lane is the link for PDF. So if the file in the Google Drive is a PDF, then there's something I need to do. If the file is a video, then I first extract it to a file. I first convert it to a PDF before going on with the translations. In terms of the translation API, I'm using DeepL. So DeepL gives you 500,000 characters for free every month if you want to do our translations. And it's pretty good. You're able to translate so many languages. And then the last part is where I sort of like output a translation into a Google document, and then you can go back into your Google Drive and download that document. So this workflow looks pretty much very simple, but then it does a lot of things. So I could have also, instead of using DeepL, I could have also used OpenAI's API. I could have also used GPT-4 or GPT 3.5, but then I decided to go with DeepL. Let me know in the comment section below if you'd want me to do a tutorial using the OpenAI method as well, and I'll gladly do so. Let's get started. So first things first, like I mentioned, in terms of the trigger, I'm using a Google Drive trigger. So I'm going to click on add first step, and I'm going to search for the Google Drive trigger. In here, I'm going to say on changes involving a specific folder. And then in terms of the credentials, I already have my APIs connected in Google. Just make sure that you create your own APIs, your client city and your client ID, and also make sure that in terms of the scope, you're including Google Drive. I just want to pull every minute. You can decide on what the frequency of the pull time should be. It could be every minute, it could be every day, it could be every week, every month. It really depends on you. And if I presume that if you are doing a lot of translations, maybe every minute, by something that you're doing monthly, then you could say every month, or you can really go custom as well. It really depends on you. Like I mentioned, the trigger is changes involved in a specific folder, and then in terms of the folder, I'm just gonna select the folder which I created, and I'm just gonna say watch out for like file updated. Okay, it could be file created as well. Really depends on what you want. And so if I should fetch an event right now, you'd see that I would have the file details showing up here for me. So as it stands now, everything is working really good. So that's great. Okay, now that we have our Google Drive trigger set up, the next step for us is to download the file. In order for us to work on the file, we need to download it. So I'm going to click on this plus button here, and I'm going to use the Google Drive folder. Now I'm going to just click on download file. In terms of the file, I'm just going to use the URL, and for the URL, I'm just going to scroll down to the web view link URL, and then I'm going to drag that instead. So I'm going to come in here, and now if I should test this right now, you'd see that I would have my file downloaded for us shortly. Okay, so this is the file I have in here. So that is good. All is working well up until this point. Now the next part is where I'm going to include the switch statement. And the reason why I'm including the switch statement is because I want to be able to translate any form of document. I don't want it to be just video, okay? I want to also be able to translate PDF files. So this is where the switch makes it very easy and dynamic so that I'm able to translate multiple file types. So I'm going to click on the plus button here, and then I'm going to look for switch, and And what I'm going to do is, in terms of the rules, I'm going to come back into the schema and I'm going to say the JSON file type. I'm just going to scroll down and I'm going to look for the file type in the schema. So this is the file extension, okay? So I'm going to drag this file extension in here and I'm going to say if the file extension, usually if it's MP4, it means it's a video, okay? And you could add so many different rules in here. I'm just going to stick with MP4 for now, okay? And then, yeah, so this should be fine. And then I'm going to add in another rule just to say that if it's a PDF, okay? So I'm just going to copy the same thing and say if it's a PDF. So I'll say PDF. You could add in additional routing rules. I could say MP3. You could do so many things. I just want to restrict it to just MP4 and PDF for the purposes of this tutorial. Okay, so this is fine. Now that I have my switch created, the next step for me is to decide what happens when it's an MP4. So ideally, what I want to do is, it is an MP4. What I want to do is I really want to first transcribe the file into a document first. I want to transcribe the file first before translating the file, okay? So in order to transcribe the file, I'm going to be using 11labs, and I've used 11labs a number of times on this channel. I've used 11labs to clone voices. I've used 11labs to design new voices. There's so many things you could use with 11labs. So for 11labs, I'm going to be creating a transcript. So if I come into the API documentation for 11labs, you have the curl code here to help create a transcript. So I'm going to copy this curl code and I'm going to paste it in here. So we have a URL in here, and then you would have to, if we come into the API documentation for 11labs, you need to enter your API keys. So let's go in and enter our API keys in our workflow. I'm going to come in here and then I'm going to say send headers, and then for the header I'm going to have API keys come in here. Okay, so you need to have your own API keys for 11labs. I already do have mine. I'm going to paste my API key in here, and though I am going to use this API key right after this tutorial. Yeah, and make sure, like, if this is your first time using APIs, just make sure you never share your API keys or share them with anybody, because that's how people can get access to your credit card information and all that. Okay, so we have our API keys. Now let's see what other things are required. So the model ID is also very important. It's a required field. So I'm going to come in here and select. You can really select just one of these. So either Scribe V1 experimental or Scribe V1. So I'm just going to go with the Scribe V1 model ID. So now that we have that sorted out, the next thing is it's asking for a binary file. So the binary file is going to be what we had from the previous step, which is this one. So the binary file we have is called data. I'm going to come back in here and I'm going to put data in here, okay? Now we have data, so this should be fine for us, to be honest. I'm going to test this right now to see what we get. We're going to test this to see if it's going to fail or not. So let me click on test. This run my C4 as okay. So we have everything we need, okay? So you don't need to add in additional parameters because we are just working on the text. Okay, we only need the text. If you wanted to have like other outputs, like you see a PDF or something like that, then you would have to add in additional parameters. But all we really need is the text, so we don't need to add in additional formats. Okay, so this is looking good for now. So now that we have our text and everything ready, the next step for us is I'm going to create a field to put in to just extract a text, because that's all we need. So I'm going to click on edit fields and I'm going to create a manual field, and I'm going to call the manual field text. And then I'm going to drag this text in here. And that's all we need to do. Okay, so now that I've created the text, the next step for me is to come in here. This is where we are going to do the translations. Okay, this is where I'm going to do the translation. So in order to do the translations, like I mentioned, we are leveraging DeepL. And DeepL also has its own API documentation. Yeah, so all you can do is you could either just come in here and then copy the curl and then go paste it. So in terms of how we are setting this app, I'm just going to be using a post, and then this is the endpoint URL I'm going to be using, just because I'm using like the free version of DeepL. This is the endpoint URL I'm going to be using. And then I'm going to use the headers, because if you go into the API documentation, it's requiring you to send like headers and stuff like that, right? So you need to send like the text, source language, target language, and all that. So I'm going to be doing this manually, okay? So I'm going to use, for authorization, I'm going to be putting in my API keys. And like I mentioned, I'm going to delete my API keys after this tutorial so that nobody has access to it. And then in terms of the body, I'm going to send the body as a phone URL encoded. So this is what I'm going to use. And then in terms of the specific fields from the API documentation, we need to send in the text. So that's what I'm going to put in here. So I'm going to say, I'm going to set in from URL encoded, and for the text, I'm really going to be using the text from the previous step. I don't have that now, so I'm going to run this entire workflow first so that I have the text from the previous step. Now that I have the text, all I'm going to do is I'm just going to drag it in here so that I have the text from the previous step. Okay, so this is looking good. Now I'm also going to add image. Add that language. So looking at the API documentation, the target language is the language into which the text should be translated, okay? So they have a number of supported languages. So if I should come in here, they support all these languages, okay? This is a lot. So if I wanted to be translated into Dutch or Polish or Korean, there's so many languages that are supported, which is really cool, okay? So I'm gonna come in here and I'm gonna put in the target language variable in here. And I'm just saying, let's say I'm gonna use French, for instance, and that's all really. So if I should test this step right now, you'd see that I would have the French translation of the text for me. Okay, so let's see what the translation looks like. So far, it's looking really good. Now, the next step is, once this is translated, I want to input this into a Google document. I'm gonna come in here and I'm gonna add a Google Doc file. Again, I need to have API keys. I need to enable your scope to include the ability to create a document. So I'm gonna click on create document, and in terms of the where I want to put it in, I want to put it into transcribed files, and I'm just gonna give it a title. If you don't want to manually always like input the title here, what you can do is you could also pass the title somewhere. Maybe you could include like LON to really extract the title based on like the text you are translating, okay? So right now I'm just gonna say translated file as the title, and that should be it. So now the document will be created for us. After the document is created for us, what we want to do is we want to update the document. I'm gonna do another doc node, and this time around I'm just gonna say update a document, okay? And I'm gonna update the document with the output from previous step, okay? And we'd had the doc ID, so I'm just gonna run this first so that we had the doc ID. Okay, so this is run fine. I'm gonna now come in here, and since we now have the doc ID, I'm gonna drag the doc ID in here. So I know that translation is really good right now for video files. If you have a video file and you want to translate it, this flow would work perfectly. Let me test it out and see. This is damn. Let's come into my Google Drive folder. If I should refresh this, you can see that the translated file has run successfully, okay? So this is good. Now I'm gonna try it out for a PDF file. So I'm just gonna drop in an English sample PDF file, and then I'm gonna come into my workflow and I'm gonna build the same workflow for the PDF file, okay? There's just a little tweak I'm gonna make if it's a PDF file. If the file is a PDF file, that means it is gonna go to those one route here. What we want to do first is we want to extract it from files. So I'm going to use the extract from file node, and I'm going to say extract from PDF. And again, the PDF is going to come through as a binary file and be named the data you saw from the previous step. And then that's all I'm going to do really. And then I'm going to drag this word each here because it's going to come out as a text field and it's going to flow into this set field here. So if I should run this workflow again for my PDF file, you'd see that it's also translated into a French version. So if I come into my Google Drive in here and I refresh it, you'd see that this has been translated to French and is running really well. So all you can do at this point is if you want to download it as a Google Doc, RTF, text file, you can do so. But yeah, that is it for today's tutorial. Really simple workflow. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Let me know in the comment section below if there are any workflows you would want me to try out, and I'll happily do so. Like I mentioned, I do have other tutorials on how to create your own AI voice clone agent agent. I have a tutorial on how you can automate your entire YouTube channel, your entire content flow on Twitter as well. I'm gonna leave all those ones on the screen as well, so like go check them out. I'm also gonna drop the link to download this JSON template in my comment section, so let me know how you find this templates and you get any challenges, do let me know. But for now, as usual, like, comment, subscribe, all the good stuff. Thank you for watching and see you in the next one.